Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we are going into the CNSL round of 8 match 2 game number 4. It's going to be here on Retro with a possible game number 5 if Dewalt is able to take it. Yeah, we'll see how that goes down. Yoon right now with that match point. Both these players looking to get into the round of 4. Would be a huge result for Dewalt. Let's get into it. And here we go. In the top left of Retro, our Russian Protoss player, it's Dewalt. And in the top right, our Korean Zerg, it's Yoon. Okay, so, that last game that we had on Blitz Y, it felt like, okay, Dewalt is trying to pressure, trying to harass a little bit with his Zealots. Here's the thing. I think that there's a lot to learn, a lot to take away from that game for Dewalt, okay? So he put on those pressures, and here's the thing. A lot of games are actually lost by the Protoss player when they're running around a lot with Zealots, right? If you're trading out tons and tons of Zealots throughout the game, your opponent oftentimes can just overmass you, and it's really hard to take a third base. Now, that doesn't mean that it's bad or wrong to run around with those Zealots and sometimes sacrifice them. But sometimes it's correct to just keep them out on the map as more of a threat, make your opponent play a little bit more defensively. Because once the units are spent, and a lot of times the Zerg player can kind of look at what's happened and very accurately judge the position that they're in. In this particular game, we saw that Yoon kept very heavy on the Hydras. He stayed 3 base. He was only mining 3 base the entire game, right? And then what really ended up winning Yoon that game was the fake drop. I went back and actually watched that again, that moment. And Dewalt was pretty significantly out of position when that fake drop came up. And that, I think, it allowed Yoon to get a foothold up the ramp a little bit quicker. Now, does Yoon just lose if he doesn't do that? Not necessarily, right? Like, obviously, StarCraft's a complex game. A lot of things can happen. But in my mind, that's kind of where he made the move that won the game, right? And there was so much leading up to it, like the sacrifice of all those Zealots before. But anyways, I think you have to look at that and maybe decide as Dewalt to be a little bit more stingy with your units. Not necessarily to think everything's going to be a fake drop, because maybe that's a great mind game from Yoon that he actually hits a mid-game drop this game, right? But, it feels like if Yoon is more likely to choose these more all-in-ish positions, like stay on 3 base for a long time, maintaining your higher unit count is better, okay? So it's like the same thing as Terran versus Protoss in a lot of ways, where it's like, okay, if your opponent is really making a lot of units off a certain amount of bases, right? Like if they're sitting on like 3 base against your 2 and they're making a lot of units, just like, because Zerg versus Protoss is a lot like Protoss versus Terran, where it's like, okay, in this matchup, Zerg has map control and can kind of kill you at any time, but Protoss can get more cost efficient. Same can be said for Terran in the other matchup, right? Protoss has map control, but Terran can get more cost efficient. So you just kind of have to look and say, okay, is my opponent expanding or not? Are they making a ton of units? And then you need to counter that in the appropriate way. And if your opponent is more likely to just continually make units, then it's like, okay, well, we're gonna just sit back and save our units and scale up. Anyways, just some ideas out there. Now looking at this game, right? Third hatch, there's actually quite a few lings, right? That's quite a few. Quite a few. He's killed the Zealot there, and now probes sitting in front, but 2 cannons. So this is fantastic for Dewalt. The 2 cannons, and then he has 2 probes here. I'm not sure about these exactly. Maybe if the probes run through and break through here. Now look, he's actually checking. He's like, do I need 4 probes here? And Yoon is hiding them hard. Now, this is kind of funny. Okay, he brings up 2 more. And I was just going to say, it's actually a tell. If you know they have 6 lings and they only show 4, it is a big tell that there's a lot of lings. Because your opponent is like trying to be like, hey, I only have like a little bit, when they actually have a lot, right? Now, obviously, this timing has kind of passed, especially with the 2 cannons. But if they know you have a certain amount, make sure you show the whole amount, because it's just like, okay, I see what you're trying to subconsciously make me think this, and I already know how many that I've seen. So the fact that you're hiding some when we know that there's nothing on the map doesn't make sense. anyways, kind of almost an exciting well, I guess it is exciting. I found that opening exciting. I don't know. I like the little mind games, a little back and forths. The 2 probes he had here too. I'm still kind of thinking about that a little bit. Like, was that to block Lings running around the cannon when he got in? Something like that. It could have been. Bring him over to block the ramp, possibly. And just try to counter where the Zerglings are going. Now, this scouting probe will get killed off, but you know what? He got up here, and what he saw was 3 drones. Now, this doesn't 100% tell you that it's a Hydra bust, okay? Which it is. But it's called 973, okay? That's what the Koreans call the Hydra bust. And it's because you go 9 drones, 7 drones. So this is 8, and this is 7, right? And then 3. Now, it's normally 9, 7, 3, but don't forget he made a bunch of Zerglings that he didn't necessarily need early on, so that's part of the reason why we're looking at, like, 1 drone missing at the moment. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there, that's, like, something that he thinks about, and you can see he adds additional cannons. So, like, he's looking at that and saying, okay, the drone count seems a little bit off, seems a little bit weird, okay. Now, Hydra's speed is done. We have range on the way. Brings up the Hydras. Dude, those 4 cannons plus another. Not looking good for Yoon right now. I don't think he gets anything done. I think he needs to go back into drones. We'll see as this Overlord finishes. And he kind of gets... well, actually, I mean, he should be able to produce a little bit. He's not completely supply blocked as of yet. If he doesn't start drones right now, he's screwed. Okay, layer starts, and there's the drones in the production tab you can see up here in the top left, right? So he's still forcing cannons. He's made a decent amount. The Corsair's flying around. Corsair's going to see, okay, layer. And the other thing you want to look is what's actually popping out of eggs. That's actually how you scout what Zerg is doing. Okay, there's like strategies and techniques for every matchup when you're playing against Zerg to kind of be like, okay, what's actually coming out of eggs? What's actually going to the rally points? Like, for instance, in Terran vs. Zerg, you scan the natural more than the other bases by far because you want to see, right? That's where the unit movement has to occur. So anyways, he does see some drones popping out. He knows that this is done. Notice how he canceled this cannon off. Did have to cancel his +1 in the forge. Gets the secondary forge here. Well, I mean, now it's just the primary forge because this one died. But sometimes you see 2 forge from a position like this. One thing I want to mention, Robo. Very, very different play, right? So I was just about to herald the beauty of going for double forge after a situation like this. I really like those plays because your opponent is like already committing heavily to ground. So if you go 2 forge, you just kind of have a bit of an edge there against the Hydras. But here, it looks like he wants to go DT drop, right? So you can't really afford the second forge. He's gone for a very quick DT. He's not showing it. He's already killing some overlords in the general area. And Dewalt has been really good with the Dark Templars, right? Like, this has been maybe his defining feature in Protoss versus Zerg. I feel like every time I'm casting Dewalt games, his DTs do really, really well. He has some good multitasking. He has good ways of getting those in. And this is a rare move for this early in the game. There was nothing that could really scout that Robo. That's a really clever position for it. So he's going to pick up 2 DTs. There's nothing in this flight path. There is an Overlord in the main, but even if you can see it, what we'll see is Dewalt will come out and actually fight. Okay, he comes out and fights for a second there, and now he's going to fly over. What he's going to do is he's going to come out and poke as the DTs go in because he wants the attention elsewhere. Oh my God. Did Yoon see that? I don't know if he saw that. The Ling ran up. I think it just for a half-second caught vision. Now let's see. Now watch this. This is really important that he actually comes out. He needs to provide some sort of distraction here. Oh, really? He's not going to? So Dewalt, Yoon sees that immediately. I am a little bit surprised. He sends the second DT down here. Now, what he might do is say, okay, now you're dealing with those. Now my army's going to come out and storm the army in the front. He's actually getting, like, really good damage in there. And he sees the mutas come out. My God. Okay, well, the DT drop, you know, normally you do see what I was talking about where the Protoss will poke out and force your attention here and then have the DTs going and generally get more damage. But he got good damage there. He killed a decent amount. And now we have mutas out, right? So, like, here go the mutas. But the Zealots are already out on the map. So he might find a way in. If he goes up here with his whole group, because all the Hydras are at the third. Now, the mutas come in, and oh my god, this is not good defense. He already threw a storm down, so he's done a little bit of damage. Good cannons in the main, at least. And, of course, Dewalt is not a cheater, so he doesn't know. But, again, if he had brought his Zealots up here and attacked the natural, this could have been huge damage. Now, he sent 4 up to the shuttle. He's going to utilize the shuttle again, despite the fact that there are mutas out. Right? Mutas generally would be a super hard counter to this, but this is a beautiful, beautiful move. Oh, my god. Look at this. Okay, the muta's gonna fly away. Now, the Zealot's getting into the main and the natural at the same time, going after drones. He's gonna have to micro this pretty heavily. Looks like those are gonna get cleaned pretty quickly. Gets a few drones up here. Going after that Hydralist Den, and that Hydralist Den is trying to make the Lurker upgrade right now. So a kill on that is actually very, very significant. The shuttle, unfortunately, left here. Does get that. Does get that Hydralist Den, so we aren't gonna have Lurkers for a long, long time. Getting Overlord's speed now. May as well. Need to get it eventually anyways. Going after the... Yeah, I don't think you're going to quite get the spawning pool, unfortunately. And somehow the shuttle's still alive, so that's kind of nice. Okay. Anyways, he's killed off 2 cannons. We have a good, healthy gateway count. Right? So 8 gates. Robo is up. Observatory coming. He's already got the +1 attack with +1 armor on the way. Kadarian Amulet coming. Dragoon range coming. So Dewalt has actually built up into a pretty reasonable army. Now, the harassment he's done, I think it has been pretty good this game. You know, he's killed an okay amount of drones, and he's kind of kept his opponent back a little bit. Notice, once again, Yoon is on 3 base, right? Now, it's not the end of the world that he's on 3 base. But what I want to see from Dewalt here is not an attack, but an expansion, right? So, like, right now we're very close in supply, and that is scary for Protoss. It's because Yoon is spending basically all of his money on making units. So if your opponent is not really expanding, not expanding their economy, not really expanding their tech, and then you sit back and you take your 3rd base and kind of force them to be like, oh, shit, I got to take my 4th base now. Oh, God. Dude. Ooh, okay, so... he actually punishes the mutas reasonably well there. I love that he put the High Templars into the shuttle. That's something we've seen Rain do and StarCraft 2 pros do, but not very often in this matchup in StarCraft 1. So kind of cool to see Dewalt mix that in. But a good snipe there from Yoon. Now look at that army, man. It's a scary, scary army. We need Dewalt to... we're on Team Dewalt here. We're on... team, let's see the guy that's not Korean do well in the Korean tournament. Of course, it's always been a big storyline within StarCraft. But anyways, the 4th base just got taken, right? This army is so massive. If you try to attack him on 2 base, you're dead. Like, it's not going to work. It's a really scary army. It's a good army. It's an army that can fight a little bit, right? This is the type of army you like to shark around with, right? Maybe you poke out and he kind of moves in position. You hit a storm, you fight for a little bit, and as everything comes, you pull back. You try to get them to run into clumped groups and funnels and stuff, that type of thing. So it's like, it's not necessarily bad to have some engagements, but to actually attack here, I think, would be a travesty for Dewalt. Now, Dewalt is not late on his 3rd yet, right? But we're getting there. He's definitely got to think about that 3rd base reasonably soon. The muta's kind of keeping him a little bit busy here as well. Ooh, that's a good snipe. That's an excellent 3 snipes. Heartbreaking. 3 High Templars going down there. And the fact that he's still pumping out like quite a few High Templars here, it makes me feel like Dewalt really does want to attack, which makes me a little bit nervous. Puts High Templar into the shuttle. It's like the amount of attempts he's making. Seems like he just wants this like never-ending army. Now, there we go. This is what we've been waiting for here. I think that this is very, very defendable. Pretty good area here. Not likely that Yoon will go up here and then go down here to attack. Right? You do have to kind of keep an eye out on that. Dewalt's standing in like the most attackable position right now. Now, storms go down. Look at the mutas fly in and just snipe High Templars. Huge, huge moves here from Yoon. And some good storms still. He has a lot of Dragoons in here as well, but you need those storms. My God. The storms really doing a fantastic job on these Hydras, and we're right on the line here where I think the Dragoons just barely end up holding this. And, okay, yeah, as soon as you bring storms down, Yoon has to turn around. This is not going to work out. Like, 2 more storms, look at that. Just absolutely ravages the army, and Dewalt basically keeps all of his Dragoons alive, which is huge, 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 huge. Right? Like, if you start losing your Dragoons, that's basically the core of your army. That is not a unit. That's like a long-term unit, right? That's not one you want to trade out. Zealots? Okay, those are fine. Trade those out. So he does end up holding. Now, I do not think Dewalt should be moving out of the map. His army right now is super, super weak. So he's got 4 Zealots and like an Archon and 1 Storm. Not really an attacking army. Brings more Dragoons down. Might feel like this is the moment where Yoon is lower on units. I don't feel like that is necessarily the case, but we'll see. Dewalt pushing forward. Interesting move from Yoon. Instead of playing a defensive game here, which I thought for sure he'd just come up and flank this, it looks like he's going for a bit of a counterattack. Wow, we're getting into kind of a crazy situation here. Dewalt's army is already in Yoon's base. The Hydra's, of course, going to catch all these probes that are trying to transfer down. You can see out of money here and getting very low. So this is part of why I was saying that probably Dewalt should be very careful about attacking. Now, Yoon counterattacking, trying to break through these cannons. In the meantime, Dewalt leaves a few units over here. It looks like he's going to kill the natural. I don't know that Yoon's going to do the same as Dewalt comes back up through this area. Was this counterattack correct here for Yoon? I don't know. It's kind of a crazy situation, right? Like, he caught all those probes, which was huge, but he hasn't actually killed a base. I guess he'll get a High Templar there, which is pretty good. Does he save this hatch? I don't think so. A lot of tech being lost, a lot of production being lost. Yoon did get this base up. He has a few drones here. He did make a few more that aren't mining yet. So I feel like Yoon's economy is still fine. And now Dewalt definitely has a bigger army right now, without any question. His army is a bit bigger, a bit stronger. Still has to finish dealing with that. But Yoon's economy is definitely on top, right? Like, very good saturation. Didn't actually lose this hatch. Very good saturation. Reasonable saturation. Remaking that Hydraless Den now as well. Okay, excellent storm. And finally, that'll be dealt with completely. Dewalt's economy is like pretty badly hurt. Oh, he actually sent a few more Zealots over here and killed off this natural hatchery. Okay, so we have to try to look at this game once again. Okay, let's take a look, right? So this is not a lot, guys. Like, 1 Dragoon, 1 Dragoon, 1 Dragoon, a Zealot, and a Dragoon, and a Dragoon. Okay, so he's can make like 7 Dragoons off of these patches and like a Zealot or something like that, right? Like somewhere in that, you can kind of look at it and be like, okay, it's not that much. So he's going to be on this one base very shortly that's just 7 mineral patches. So it's like, it's hard to maintain a large army size here. Now, Yoon, on the other hand, he has a very good drone count, and he's still fine on patches. This one's starting to get a little bit low, but you can see there's like more here than there is here. So even though Dewalt did that big attack and killed off this natural, I want to once again say I think that was maybe the mistake, right? Yoon came for the counterattack, and honestly, the counterattack didn't even really do that much. But now we don't have like really that big an army. He has a lot of High Templars, right? Like, this is a very technical army. There's a lot that can be done with this still. It's still a good army, but I'm really nervous for Dewalt right now because he has to take another base, and this is a hard map for that. Where do you end up taking another base? Do you try to take this base and win on 4 base, or do you try to expand to the bottom left and just shark around the middle of the map? That's a question that I don't actually know the answer to. I think it's going to come down to a little bit of stylistic approach here from Dewalt. What does he feel comfortable with? Does he want one very well defendable base, or does he think he can continually maraud around the map? Misses that Psy Storm, unfortunately. Dude, 3 High Templars going down so far. Very, very painful. Decent storm there up the map, up the ramp. The Zealots that were sent to this bottom right, this is actually a huge moment for Dewalt. And in fact, he'll come down here and kill this off. Okay, so Yoon is just like Mr. Counterattack here today, I guess. Look at this. Massive Hydras going towards this top left. There's so many High Templars. Dude, if Dewalt kills his space, I'm really kind of surprised at the way this is playing out. It's like Dewalt attacks, then Yoon just counterattacks over and over and over. Now, he's going to go up into what should be the least cost-efficient place to attack, but he kills the High Templars, so that's huge. One Psy Storm here would have been very, very different. And, like, he definitely can take this out still. Only 3 Hydras remaining. Dewalt has sent back a big chunk of his army, but if he loses this Nexus, do you have much of a chance left in this game? Because at that point, he's literally not mining anymore. Yeah, that Nexus going to end up falling. The Hydras, we'll see if they can actually trade somewhat efficiently, dodging out of those storms. Doing a good job picking off a lot of probes here. Dewalt getting very low as far as his probe count goes, but does it matter when you have nowhere to mine from? Look at this. Empty. Empty. He needs to get those 20 minerals ASAP. All right, Hydra's going to back out. And look, he somehow kept the space alive. This is reminding me of the Natural that lived too long up here as well. Although he did end up killing that one off. Now, Dewalt going for a counterattack. I think Dewalt is looking at this saying, I definitely have a better army, and he definitely does right now. Is it better enough to be able to win the game without anything else being produced? That's the big question. Okay, pops that Overlord. Coming up. Ooh, the Muta's going to look for some High Templar snipes. See if they're able to actually do it. Trying to kill these off with Dragoons. Man, the High Templars do get sniped here. Oh, one does remain. Very, very low on health. Has a single Psy Storm left on it. All right, continuing to push forward here. Lots of Sunkens up for Yoon. Can Dewalt end this game? He's starting a long-distance mine, but he's got to deal a lot of damage. Like, I think he has to kill this base to have any shot in this game. And you know what? It's kind of looking like he's going to. If he kills this base, right? Like, the Dragoons are going to just plow through these Sunkens at this point. Only one Hydra. Like, I mean, I guess he could go up and kill this. I don't know that he even needs to. Is Dewalt going to win this game? What am I even looking at right now? Absolute insanity. So he's going to be able to take down this hatchery. The Hydras popping out are just straight up dying. Really nothing of value up there. Obviously, the win condition is to kill all your opponent's buildings. What a crazy game. Okay, so this is not really mining. This is really it. So Yoon is mining here, and we have long distance mining for Dewalt over here. Now, it looks like he's saving for the Nexus. It looks like he wants to build the Nexus. If he goes Nexus here... Okay, because I'm trying to think, like, is it better to go Nexus, or should you make 8 High Templars? Would 8 High Templars win this game for you right now? Or does a Nexus and slowing the game down do better? He's killing off some of the production. I don't think the production matters at the moment. Sends a bunch of his Dragoons back. 2 High Templars, as well as some Dragoons left over here. I don't think, obviously, it's bad to kill the production, but, like, your opponent might not need very many hatcheries right now. Right? The economy is very, very low on both sides. You know, he just had Zealots down here. He knows that there's not a lot. Look at this. Probes being pulled. He has no Psy Stormers up here. All right, bringing the High Templars back with some Dragoons. Ooh, this is very tricky. So he's got 2 Storms to work with. Yeah, that was a good dodge. This is where micro really, really comes into play, right? Like, if you're just splitting these a lot, you dodge both those Storms, these will kill all this easily. Probably would have been better to keep this back. It seems like Yoon is too on top of things. He's got all this vision. He knows where this army's moving to. Look, the Overlord's checking right now as well. He just needs to see when it's coming out so that he can pay attention to that. You might want to actually bring these units down the ramp at the same time you bring these up. Because otherwise, these are just all going to die. Okay, throws a storm down, but it just gets dodged. So all these units going to die, unfortunately. Doesn't look like he'll even get this hatchery. Yeah, missing shots here. The Dragoon going to run. Okay. Where are we at? This is such a crazy game right now. So, Dewalt has 19 probes that are going to be mining here. Realistically, you should pull every probe off gas. It looks like he did a box, like a drag select here, and one was just inside. So one is left there. Okay, whatever. So he's going to have 18 probes mining. He's making mostly High Templars, which is exactly what you would expect here, because he's just so heavy on gas. Well, I guess he has 3 probes actually on hold position here too, which is smart. Mass drones. Okay, a storm went off as he's run up to do some sniping. Like, okay, he's going to go for a kill. Runs the Hydras up the ramp. A couple good size storms. Probes trying to hold. The drones coming up to fight as well. What in the world am I looking at here? Just an absolutely insane game. I can't even believe what we're looking at. Yoon trying to break through. The probes are literally starting to kill Hydras at this point. They've got 3 armor. These are badass probes. Holy crap. Drones versus probes 26 minutes into the game. Trying to make a... Oh, God. Some good storms go down. He's got to bring his probes back. Bring your probes back to fight, my man. More High Templars coming up. Trying to get storms down that actually kill. He's trying to get this Archon finish as well. It's a tricky thing. Archons are not actually good against Hydras. Like, you can really out-micro them, and Explosive does full damage to Archons throughout. But you do need some actual damage there. And, you know, he's mining so few minerals at this point. Look at this. He's added in 2 Zealots and a Dragoon. Okay. Dude, imagine 1 DT down here. How crazy that would be. Holy crap. Oh, the Dragoon gets picked. The Dragoon is actually a really important unit right now. Hydra's coming up, trying to target this down. Does he actually have enough here? I think he has enough to kill all the Archons as well. You really do need to pull those probes once again. And in fact, he does. A crazy situation. But I think that's actually it. Dewalt with just about nothing left. Brings up another Dragoon. Obviously, that's not going to be enough. A couple more High Templars as well. I tell you, a wild and dynamic game. Not one that you're likely to see very often, but it does look like Yoon is going to end up winning. And yeah, that means that Yoon, with this map win, will be going to that round of 4. Dewalt putting up just a great season. Once again, doing his fans proud. Really continuing to improve dramatically. I think he's played some very good PVZs. And is only going to get better from here. So there you go. GG. And that means that this series is over. Yoon moves up into the round of 4. Guys, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.